For decades, if you were looking for the pinnacle of SUVs from the Mercedes brand, you would be looking at a G-Wagon. However, for 2021, there's a new flagship SUV from Mercedes, and it's actually from Mercedes-Maybach. That's right behind me, you're looking at the very first ever Maybach version of an SUV. This is the 2021 Mercedes-Maybach GLS 600, a new flagship luxury SUV designed to essentially be driven in by a chauffeur. This is based off of course, the third generation GLS class. And unlike the S-Class version, it's an SUV, which means it sits up higher. It gives you that E-active body control air suspension. And at the front end, it has all the glitzy, glamorous looks that you expect from the Maybach badge. So if you guys are looking for an uber luxury SUV to be driven around in, how does this new Mercedes-Maybach GLS stack up? Stay tuned to find out. Now, of course, when the third generation GLS came out about 2 years ago, I wasn't really the biggest fan of the design. It kind of looked a little bit more like a minivan. I actually preferred the way the BMW X7 looked a little bit more. So as you can see, the first thing we're going to talk about with this new Maybach version of the GLS has to be the front end, because look at it. There is so much chrome on this vehicle that I had to do a double take because I almost thought that most of it was aftermarket. Now, of course, looks are always subjective, so I'm going to keep an open mind here when I talk about the exterior styling. Now, first of all, I love the color of my particular tester. This is the emerald, or the dark emerald green metallic, which has beautiful metallic flakes. It has a beautiful luster to it. It almost looks black in certain lights until the sun hits it, and it really complements this big SUV quite nicely. Now, of course, this is also the very first Mercedes SUV to have this, a hood ornament on the hood. This is, again, reserved typically for the S-Class. I'm surprised it's not the Maybach logo, it's the three-pointed star, but remember, Mercedes is quick to point out that this is called a Mercedes-Maybach, which is why it says Maybach down here. The grille, of course, is unique. It's got these vertical chrome slats to the Maybach that really, again, helps it stand out. I'm not entirely sure it stands out in a good way. Let me know in the comments below if you guys like the design. You can see the radar sensor for the cruise control is right here, although it's nicely well integrated into the grille. The lower portion here, this is where I think it goes a little too far. It's got all this chrome here for these, areas where the air intake would be, and I don't think that this was necessary. I think the chrome here would have been fine, but I probably would have deleted this chrome and just left it black. It just makes it a little too much. These full LED laser light technology headlights are going to be standard. They're adaptive. They have automatic high beams, LED turn signals, although not sequential turn signals. But overall, the front of this vehicle definitely looks menacing. It looks like it belongs next to a Maybach S-Class. So they definitely accomplished that with the design for this vehicle there. Now, looking around the side profile, you can see Mercedes didn't actually make this vehicle bigger for the Maybach version. It still stretches around 205 inches long. It still has a 123-inch long wheelbase. This is right in between the size vehicles of something like a Lincoln Navigator and a Lincoln Aviator or a Chevrolet Tahoe. Those vehicles are technically a little bit longer than this by about 6 inches, but you can't deny the presence that this car gives you. Now, of course, wheels are important with a vehicle in this segment, and all Maybach versions of the GLS will come standard with these 22-inch wheels with multiple spokes. If you want, Mercedes-Maybach will sell you a 23-inch forged wheel. 23s, that's right, which would make this vehicle look even better. I actually like the way the 23s look. You have 285 with tires at the front and then fatter 325 with tires at the back. You can really see just how fat the tires are. This vehicle does come with their E-active body control air suspension, like I mentioned, so you can raise the vehicle up. I believe at its max setting, it'll have around 9.5 inches of ground clearance, which, why would you take this vehicle off-road? But there is an off-road setting for those of you who are crazy enough to take your $160,000 SUV off the beaten path. Now, of course, looking at the rest of the profile here, you can see these aluminum roof rails are a nice complement. You have a panoramic sunroof, and unlike the regular GLS, there's a lot of extra chrome and shiny pieces here along the window trim, along the door handles. It's a little too much chrome for me. It kind of reflects back into my face. Same thing with the chrome on the rocker panel or the side sill. The one thing about this vehicle that's really cool, first of all, the rear doors are massive. When I open the rear door, it's got a nice deployable spoiler here, and you can see it even shows the Maybach logo there to remind everybody that this is an expensive Maybach Mercedes. You can see the The actual running board is actually slightly wider at the rear because Mercedes wants you to remember that this is supposed to favor the rear seat passengers, which we'll talk about that in just a moment. Looking at the back of this vehicle, you can see same thing as the regular GLS, although there's this new Maybach emblem here, which this should have been on the hood as opposed to the Mercedes logo. And then looking at the back, you can see it says GLS 600, which makes you think that this vehicle has a 6-liter V12. However, we'll talk about that in just a moment. Again, you have the Mercedes logo here and a Maybach logo on the left side, and you have additional chrome. You can see a lot of chrome on the back, although not quite as ostentatious as the front. Lots of chrome down here on the rear bumper area, and you can see the exhaust tips have a slightly different look to them. This vehicle is supposed to just favor uber quiet luxury and not necessarily performance. Now, looking at the trunk area, this is my biggest disappointment with the Maybach GLS because to give us that massive rear seat, Mercedes had to basically dig into the cargo area. They deleted the rear seat and they also reduced the cargo area by a significant margin. Now, first of all, this massive thing right here is the champagne refrigerator, which literally eats up a third of the space back here. But Maybach says that you have around 18.4 cubic feet of space. 18.4 is essentially what you'd find in like a sedan like the S-Class. So you're not buying this to get more cargo space than an S-Class, although I guess you could get rid of this and it has more vertical space. But just keep in mind, this takes up a lot of space in the trunk, which is really, really dumb. There is slightly a bit of underfloor storage over there. This is, of course, very nicely finished, but keep in mind vehicles like the Bentayga, the Rolls-Royce Cullinan, the Range Rover, they offer a little bit more trunk space versus this vehicle, but again, that's not the purpose of this car. You're buying it because you're buying a vehicle like this to be chauffeured around in. Now, before we move into the interior and talk about what's going on in the front seat, I thought I'd actually start with the back seat because this is the reason why you'd buy the Maybach version of this car. This is a car that's designed to be driven in by a chauffeur. So of course, when you first open up the rear door, that power deploying running board pops out to reveal a back seat that looks like it belongs in the first class of an airliner. I mean, check this out, guys. The mahogany and macchiato interior color combination of this car is just absolutely gorgeous, especially when it's paired up with this dark emerald green exterior color. You can see the pillows on this vehicle are some of the softest pillows that I've ever felt in a production car. Even get a really soft, cushy pillow here for the headrest that you don't get in the front. Even has a pillow here for your legs in the ottoman part of this vehicle, along with a lot of beautiful wood. The center console here is just beautiful. Mercedes-Maybach actually says they got rid of the third row and then they pushed the second row seats back around 4.7 inches to give you all this legroom. There's roughly 46 inches of legroom back here, and that's before you move this front seat out of the way if you guys want to go into a lounge mode for the seats. Now, you can do that again by pushing on these buttons here. A lot of the controls are right here on the door panel. You can see it's got heated and cooled seats. You can also push this right here and you can move the front seat, adjust it to whatever way you'd like or completely out of the way by pushing this button right here. That'll make the seat kind of push out of the way and then make this seat completely lie flat. This interior, along with the plush carpeting that you find back here, feels very worthy of the last Rolls-Royce Cullinan that I drove. I haven't driven a Bentayga, but this is a very, very nice place to spend time. It also has these nice paparazzi shade, or maybe some of the rich people like to call these peasant shades, because they're going to help block out the sun. Now, of course, getting into this vehicle, nice large step here that reminds you constantly you're in a super exotic, fancy Mercedes. And then when I shut the door, you don't even have to slam it. It just has that nice, solid, soft close feature, which again, you expect when you are purchasing a vehicle like this. Now, one of the things that I love about this interior has to be the ambient lighting. I mean, there's even ambient lighting here on the sunroof tracks. The leather back here is just exquisite. In fact, there's leather on the ceiling and on the grab handle here, along with beautiful LED lighting. There's leather everywhere on this cabin. It just feels super expensive. Definitely a huge upgrade versus the standard GLS. These seats back here, they recline, they're massaging, they're heated and cooled, they're covered in beautiful, soft, supple Nappa leather, which you kind of expect. My tester is missing the rear seat entertainment option here, where it gives you the 2 screens, which it should have that honestly as standard, but to compensate, there is a nice little tablet right here that you can basically turn on, and it mimics the MBUX that's in the front. You can essentially control the MBUX from the back here in the front, and to do that, you can also push this little button here And this remote control, you can see, pops out. It even has its own little place right here where it will recharge. And this tablet here looks basically like an Android. It looks very cool, very high tech, very modern. And it just kind of fits right there in its slot when you don't need to use this thing. Now, there's a wireless phone charger back here, although this right here, I kind of wish it popped in and out. I don't like how it just kind of is always sticking out. It takes up a little bit of my view of this beautiful wood. There's 2 USB ports on each side, so there's a total of 4 USB-C charging ports. If you open up this right here, you can see heated and cooled cup holders there. Nice sturdy cup holders over here. This door doesn't open, but this wood, this natural grain walnut is some of the nicest wood that I felt in a production car. You can see there's quad zone climate control back here. I mean, would you expect anything less? If you open this up right here, you can see there's a decent sized center console, and these picnic tables here are $1,800 extra, but you can see you have it on both sides of the vehicle. So they essentially just fold out and then they slide out. And you can close this back up. You can see there's a lot of space in that center console once you take them out. And you can see right here, when this folds out, this is a great workplace right here where you can set up a laptop computer. You can also eat some food back here, which is nice if you have a driver that's driving you around in Maybach mode. And the table basically feels like it came out of an airliner. So really great. It's actually wrapped in leather on this portion here, which is pretty slick. So very, very little complaints with this table. I highly recommend this option for $1,800, although it should just be standard at this price point. Although I do think that this could fold in a little bit more of an elegant way, maybe make it power folding. That's kind of me nitpicking. Now, of course, my tester also has the refrigerator option where if you fold this down, you can see there's champagne flute holders here. The champagne flutes are extra. The refrigerator has a extra cold setting, and you can see there's the humidity in there. It feels like it could be a freezer in here. This is fantastic. It better be, considering that takes up a lot of space in the cargo area. In fact, what's another beautiful detail piece is right here. This rear shelf right here is constructed of the same beautiful burl walnut wood. It has ambient lighting you can see in the back. There's even a child seat anchor position over there. The 27 speaker Burmester stereo. Also, you can see all the speakers in the ceiling in the rear shelf. This is very beautifully made, and I love these super soft headrest over here. Now, of course, if you guys want to get a massage, you have to go over here. I'll go to comfort, and you can see there, it gives you the exact, display of what you want, what kind of massage you want. I'll go ahead and turn on the activating massage. Select that and then hit that button right there. And voila, this vehicle starts giving you a massage, and it's a really, really nice massage, honestly. It's the same massage that you get in the front. I can also adjust the ambient lighting back here and change it based on whatever color, whatever effect I like. I can also go to the sunshades. I can open and close them. I can open everything. I mean, this right here is first class stuff. It's what you expect when you're buying a Maybach like this. Now, again, let me push this button right here. At 5'7", this is the only seat that does this. I have to push this button here once and hold it for a second. You can see it moves the front seat forward. It also starts to kick up my ottoman right here, which if you're taller than me, I'm 5'7", like I said, my feet are almost basically touching this. But wow, this is pretty darn comfortable. So like, I'm the perfect height for this because my feet basically just touch the back of this just barely. So if you're over my height, you're probably going to be smacking into that seat. If you're over 6 feet, you're not gonna be able to do this. I believe the S-Class Maybach actually has slightly more room than this, but this is still a really, really nice place to spend time. I mean, the seat back itself reclines back. I could essentially take a nap back here, and it's one of the nicest back seats that I've ever tested, which you should expect that. Now, of course, if you want to put the seat back, just push and hold this button here, and it's pretty quick, one touch action. The seat back folds back up, and this ottoman reclines back down, and then the actual recline function actually comes back on its own. That seat will actually stay like that, so it doesn't return back to its position, but you can see, look at all this legroom over here, along with the plush carpeting, the beautiful ambient lighting. I mean, this is why you buy the Maybach version. This seats 4 comfortably. You can replace this with a 5-seater and get rid of half of this center console, but why would you want to do that? This is essentially the way you want to get this car. But keep in mind, it's definitely not practical. This is a car that you're going to be driven around in, and it certainly has the luxury, tech, and the ambiance to befit the Maybach name back here. So when you're ready to finally step inside your Maybach, this is essentially why you bought the pinnacle of the Mercedes-Benz portfolio. I want to first show you guys the key fob. This is essentially the same key you get on a standard GLS. There's even a Mercedes emblem there, but on the back it has the Maybach emblem, which I really wanted Mercedes to put that on the front grille of this vehicle as opposed to the TriStar. But as you can see, opening the door, I want you to notice one thing. The running board on this car is made of aluminum, and it is extremely wide. It does come out a lot faster than some of the other competing vehicles I've seen, but this could really hit your ankle if you're coming up to the vehicle too quickly. So this is really great for getting into the rear. The front, you can see, isn't quite as wide, but look at this interior, guys. I mean, this is the caramel macchiato two-tone brown with the beige interior. There is so much leather and wood and metal trim in this car. I didn't think that the standard GLS had enough leather and wood, but this really takes it up to the next level. I mean, check out the door panel here, just the amount of stitching with the contrast stitching, the real soft leather. The leather extends to the lower portion here. It's even leather on the inside here. The metal speaker grills for the 27 speaker Burmester sound. And you can see the seat controls here on the door panel. They adjust in like 20 plus different ways. They're heated and cooled and massaging, and they offer 3-person memory on both the front and the passenger side and for the rear seats as well. Even the carpet is a little bit more plush. It's not quite the lamb's wool carpeting that you find in a Rolls-Royce Cullinan, but you can see the gas pedal and brake pedal there has the Maybach logo. It's also in stamped aluminum, which is nice. The steering wheel also has an optional wood finish, which the wood is an open pore, amazingly soft grain wood. It's a leather heated wheel, and there also has the power tilt telescoping function. It says Maybach on the lower part of the steering wheel. Now, getting inside this vehicle, it's pretty easy to do that because you have this massive running board that helps. And then when you shut the door, if you slam it, it has a nice solid sounding thunk, but because it's a Maybach, you don't even have to slam it. You just have to kind of click the door and it'll do a soft close feature. You can see the instrument panel does this little graphical display that shows Maybach, the GLS Maybach in the actual instrument panel, which is nice. The button to fire up the engine is back here, slightly hidden behind the steering wheel. And because this vehicle has the 48-volt mild hybrid system, you can see it kind of whirs to life. It doesn't have a traditional starter noise that you would get in a regular gas-powered vehicle with a traditional starter because of that noise, which does make this feel a little bit nicer, or a little bit smoother and quieter. It kind of just glides on. It just turns on without that hiccup noise. Now, looking at the rest of this cabin, the fan speed in here, I'm going to try to turn it down. It's a little bit loud. And it's a really hot day today, so I apologize for the slightly loud ambient noise with the air conditioning system. But let's talk about the interior of this vehicle, because this interior definitely feels like a step above a standard GLS. The GLS in general, when I first drove it, didn't have quite the nicest interior when you looked at the baser versions, but you can see Maybach has taken it to the next level. Look at the A-pillar here. It's kind of stitched in leather. The leather actually extends onto the ceiling of this vehicle, where you can see the grab handle here is stitched in leather. The area around it is stitched in leather. Even the mirrors here are stitched in leather, which really makes this car's interior feel extra special, which is nice. The wood is like an open pore wood, which looks fantastic. It feels really good. I love the metal trim that you can see throughout the interior, and you can see the joystick controller here. The little palm rest also has the Maybach logo, which is nice. You have the trackpad here for the MBUX infotainment system. This is the standard two 12-inch displays that you get on the standard GLS, and it's a really nice addition here, although I kind of see that this is starting to look a little bit dated, especially when you compare it to the new S-Class. This is the older interior in terms of tech, but this is still much better than what you're going to find in the Cullinan and in the Bentley Bentayga. The seats are plush Napa leather. They're really soft, supportive, and comfortable. Like I said, they're massaging, heated, and cooled. I like the contrasting stitching, the piping. This color combination is also really great with the dark emerald green exterior color. You can see the ambient lighting back here also is surrounding the speaker covers on the tweeters over there, and it changes color. It has different intensities. It all just looks very nice at night. I especially like the darker kind of burgundy color that you get on the dashboard, along with the light color steering wheel. It's all just a very nice place to spend time. This 27 speaker stereo system also sounds incredible. So Maybach did a fantastic job in that regard. Now, I'm not going to go too much into this infotainment system, but you can see here it's not one giant screen, although it tries to look like it. This instrument panel, you can kind of adjust it based on if you want it in a sport or a progressive setting. This is the classic setting, which does look more unique versus the standard GLS. You can see it's got the Maybach font and logo there. It looks really high tech and it looks fancy as well. I really like it in this display over a standard Mercedes because it looks different. It looks slightly unique. This over here you can see is the standard GPS function. It also includes augmented reality. It's anything different versus the standard Mercedes systems. When I put the vehicle into reverse, you can see it's got the full 360 camera with parking sensors front and rear. You kind of need it for a vehicle that is 205 inches long. It is fairly large. There's also Android Auto and Apple CarPlay, although it is not wireless and it doesn't take up the entire screen. So this is again where it's showing its age in comparison to the new S-Class. So I'm hoping that the GLS will get an update soon because this is supposed to be the S-Class of SUVs. You can see there's a nice heads-up display over there, which is great. There's more leather stitching down here on the lower port of the dash. There is a wireless phone charger over there. You've got your 2 USB ports right there, which is nice. Heated and cooled cup holders in the front and the rear, which is great. The trackpad here, this is the drive mode selector where you can adjust it between individual sport. There's a new Maybach setting, which I'll talk about in the drive modes. There's a curve control, which is part of the E-Active body control. And then there's an off-road mode if you're gonna take this vehicle off-road with 22-inch wheels, which will raise the air suspension and give you a little bit extra ground clearance, but I wouldn't recommend doing that on these big tires. Massive grab handles here with some nice aluminum trim. You can also adjust the air suspension from here, adjust the stability control, adjust the downhill assist control, and adjust the suspension dampening if you'd like, which is all very nice with customization. Opening this up, you can see it's a pretty good sized center console storage, another USB-C charging port here. I do wish the CarPlay was wireless. It's not wireless. You have to actually plug in your phone, which is a little bit annoying. As I mentioned earlier, the seats are very supportive and comfortable. Looking at the glove box, you can see it's massive. It's a bin style. It's stamped. It's lined with felt. It offers a good amount of storage. There's even a pen built into this vehicle, although the pen surprisingly doesn't say Maybach on it. Why not? That's blasphemy. Above me, you can see there's LED lighting in the cabin, which is what you expect. More of that leather stitching all over the rear, and I love this big, massive panoramic sunroof. You can see this shade, you can close it from the rear as well. It provides a lot of privacy and coverage from the sun if you guys don't want some sun. But overall, the interior, definitely opulent, worthy of the Maybach name. Although it still could be better than a GLS, I do think that Maybach could have pushed the envelope a little bit further, but I also like how they're adding some more colors. They're adding some more premium materials in here. Really just the tech system here is still good, but if you've been in the new S-Class, this is going to look a little bit dated. Now, underneath the hood of the Maybach GLS, you might be wondering, does it have a V12 engine? Well, sadly, V12s are being phased out, so instead we have a 4-liter twin-turbo V8 that shares the basic engine design with, of course, the engine that you find in the AMG GLS 63. This engine, of course, is not hand-built, and it is detuned slightly from the AMG model. But as you can see, this 4-liter twin-turbocharged V8 engine with direct injection still makes a rather impressive 550 horsepower and 538 pound-feet of torque. That's roughly 66 more horsepower than what you find in the GLS 580, which has around 483 horsepower. It's around 50 horsepower less than what you get in the AMG version of the GLS 63. Now, it all goes out through a 9-speed automatic transmission, and fuel economy, if you guys care, is rated at 15 in the city, 19 on the highway. This engine actually has the mild hybrid system. They call it EQ Boost. So that electric motor starter generator will help deliver 21 horsepower and 184 pound-feet of torque in certain bursts to aid the engine. It'll never power the engine or the vehicle alone. It basically just helps with the start-stop system. It makes it a lot more smoother versus without it. And this vehicle will still tow a maximum of 7,700 pounds. So it still has some SUV capability. Actually, that's a pretty high tow rating for something like this. Mercedes-Maybach says you'll get to 60 in around 4.8 seconds while reaching a top speed of around 155 miles an hour. So again, it has that high-speed stability that you expect from a German brand, and this vehicle is certainly no lightweight. As it sits, it weighs in at just under 6,100 pounds. So getting behind the wheel of the first ever Maybach version of the GLS, the first ever Maybach SUV. Now, it would be pretty easy to dismiss this truck as a guzzied up version of the GLS. But remember, this 3rd generation GLS, when it first came out 2 years ago, Mercedes' goal was to make this the S-Class of SUVs. And I pretty much loved the way this car drove back then. Didn't love the way it looked. The Maybach version basically makes it look even more blingy, even more ostentatious. It's not really my taste, especially the front end with all that chrome, but I can't deny the fact that this SUV does look properly expensive. I mean, if you guys like the way the S-Class Maybach looks, this is going to feel very familiar. Now, first getting behind the wheel, I'm starting off with the vehicle in sport mode because I do want to test out the performance. Maybach did give this car, in fact, they went to extreme lengths to make this vehicle drive differently versus a standard GLS. I mean, that vehicle drove really well already. And even in sport mode here, this vehicle has a pillowy ride. It's got really comfortable seats. I'm sitting here getting a massage. And the visibility in this car also is really good. In fact, this is the first and only SUV from Mercedes from the factory that has that hood ornament right there. Now, it's the three-pointed star hood ornament, and Mercedes says that it's like that because this is a Mercedes-Maybach. That's why it's not the Maybach logo, although I suspect some owners and dealers may replace the three-pointed star hood ornament with the Maybach logo, which I wouldn't blame them for doing, but it looks nice as I go down the road here because it makes you feel like you have an even more expensive car. Now, the powertrain under this car is also slightly unique. We have roughly 66 more horsepower than the standard GLS 580, and Maybach says this car should get to 60 in around 4.5 seconds. Or maybe 4.8 seconds. I believe their actual official number was 4.8. So let's go ahead and test that theory here. This thing is fast. And 0 to 60 in 4.56 seconds. It's so effortless too. Wow, that is quick. That is quick for an SUV that weighs over 6,000 pounds. That is astonishing. But of course, when you're piloting a vehicle like this, you expect it to have effortless acceleration. So it's going to be interesting to see something like this blow the doors off of most sports cars and sports sedans on the road, but that's not the point of a Maybach. So let's switch the drive mode over here to, well, actually, let's start with comfort setting because this is the setting that balances everything. It's supposed to give this car one of the best ride qualities in the business, and it has some pretty, intimidating competitors in the same corner as it. I mean, you've got cars like the Bentley Bentayga, the Rolls-Royce Cullinan, the Range Rover SV Autobiography, and even in comfort mode, you can hear that lovely V8. It is not necessarily the full fat AMG version, but has a really nice V8 exhaust noise. And this car has one of the smoothest ride qualities that I've driven all year. And I drove the Rolls-Royce Cullinan earlier this year, and I have to say this pretty much almost matches it. The Rolls has that magic carpet ride, but Maybach has a trick up their sleeve here. If I switch it over to Maybach mode, the engine and the engine and suspension switch out. So the steering and the stability control setting remain in comfort. But now the engine starts out in second gear in this Maybach setting. It also tries to reduce gear shifts because we don't want any of that shift shock. And then the dampers go into an even softer setting to where it promotes more softer or cushier ride quality in the back seat, because remember, this car is all about having a chauffeur. You essentially are going to be driven in the back seat, and this is where it prioritizes ride comfort even more for rear seat passengers. So this Maybach mode, I don't really notice it here in the front seat, the difference, although I do notice how it starts out in second gear, which makes the vehicle feel a little bit sluggish off the line. But we all want that smoothness, of course, and that's the whole point. Now, the other drive mode, of course, is the curve mode. This is part of the e-active body control that I tested on a GLE and a GLS a couple of years ago. This is where the vehicle's suspension will lean in the same direction as the turn. So when you do something like this, for example, look at this. The body doesn't lean at all, really, and the steering is so quick and direct. This is the mode that you're going to want to be in when you're attacking your favorite back road, which you never thought you'd do in a vehicle that's this big, that weighs this much. But that's the beauty about this e-active body control air suspension that Mercedes has designed. It will defy the laws of physics from the way the vehicle handles and the way it drives. It is one of the best driving big SUVs that I've ever driven. And I'm not surprised this is wearing the three-pointed star and Maybach logo. This is supposed to be the pinnacle of that. Now, in terms of driver assistance, all of it basically comes standard. This has their level 2 autonomy where it'll do active lane changes. It has automatic emergency braking. It has lane collision prevention assist, active blind spot monitoring, rear cross driver alert. It all works pretty well, but keep in mind, this is not the newest systems that I've seen in the new S-Class. For example, the head-up display doesn't have the augmented reality. You've got the augmented reality, of course, in the GPS, which is good. This is the older infotainment system. The wood steering wheel here, this walnut natural grain wood, feels really nice in your hands. It's one of the smoothest wood that I've ever felt. The interior here is literally wrapped in leather everywhere, including the ceiling. You basically need to be swallowed by a cow to experience more leather around you. And these seats are so cushy and plush. These are more comfortable than the seats that I tried in the Rolls-Royce Cullinan, and that car, remember, cost twice the price. So yes, the Maybach definitely is a better value than that vehicle, and even the Bentley. But some would argue that it hasn't really moved the needle far enough away from Mercedes. But that's not really going to matter, because the front seat's not where you're going to be spending the majority every time you have a vehicle like this. You're going to be spending it in the back seat, and that's where Maybach really put in all the money for this car, because it has those executive, first class airplane lounge seats back there, which is fantastic. And if you guys happen to care, fuel economy, I've averaged around 14 mpg in the city. On the highway, it did around 18.5. So right bang on with the targets. You do have that mild hybrid system, which can start this vehicle out very, very slowly. Or basically all it does is it just helps the start this vehicle up very seamlessly when you lift your foot off the brake, but it'll never run this vehicle alone on electric power, because it's a very, very mild hybrid system. You're going to be depending, of course, on all of the twin turbo V8's torque, which is abundant. It's got a smooth shifting 9-speed transmission. I have no complaints with the driving dynamics of this car, other than the fact that it still just feels like a very, very nice GLS with a better ride quality, and also one of the quietest interiors in the bunch. But it doesn't quite have that special feel that you get from the Rolls-Royce, but the Rolls better have that damn special feel, because it costs over twice the price of this. So after spending a week with the all-new Mercedes-Maybach GLS 600, remember, the company's first ever Maybach SUV, I'm left scratching my head a little bit, because I really wanted to like this vehicle. I mean, I do think that the car has some differences to make it feel a little bit more special than other GLS models, but really, I'm scratching my head because it is definitely the least practical bunch of the GLS. I mean, yes, the regular GLS is a family SUV that seats up to 7 people, that has a crap ton of space. And to create this, Mercedes had to get rid of that, because, again, they want you to be driven around in this vehicle by a chauffeur. And technically, I guess if you're that rich, you'll probably have another vehicle that can carry all your luggage. You can carry a little bit more people and stuff in a different vehicle, and this is the one that's going to coddle you. So again, if you look at it from that angle, this vehicle kind of makes sense. And if you're going to compare it to the Bentley Bentayga or the Rolls-Royce Cullinan, this is actually a bargain. The Bentley is going to be around $20,000 more than the Maybach just to start. Remember, this car starts at $160,500 plus destination. The Rolls-Royce starts at $332,000. So this is over half the price of the Rolls-Royce. And yes, it doesn't have the cachet of a Rolls-Royce, which is, again, the pinnacle of everything. This is still the pinnacle of Mercedes Benz. And I do think that Maybach could have pushed the envelope a little bit further on the interior design. It's got great materials, and on the look of the vehicle, but it would have made it far more expensive. Even my tester here, with the options that it has in the rear seat with those folding tables, the refrigerator, the champagne flute holders. This one here stickers at just under $170,000, which is a bargain compared to some of its uber luxury brands. But keep in mind, remember that the Maybach brand may not necessarily have everything that you expect from those uber luxury brands. But with all that said, I hope you guys have enjoyed my full overview here on the 2021 Mercedes-Maybach GLS 600. If you're also looking to see the latest cars I'm testing, be sure to follow me on Instagram at redline_reviews, like us on Facebook, and as always, guys, please keep subscribing to the Redline Reviews YouTube channel for all the latest reviews. Thank you so much for watching. I'll catch you all in the next video.